he talks about how it's all these like stupid sayings that we learned growing
Yeah,
up. And
that's
it's just,
dumb. I think it was Dan.
yeah, that's right. So we were talking about that the other day, the whole like money is the root of all evil, but it's like no, the love of money and all that stuff. I think that'd be cool to
I
talk
think
about
it's
like
awesome. And matter of fact, I think it's a perfect segue straight into the introduction because why does the world need you to be rich, man? That's the question. That's the question of the day. Let's talk about it. Let's break it down. We're going to jump right into it, man, because I think it's interesting. Obviously, dude, I'm just going to say straight up, I think it magnifies whatever you are, right? Whatever your personality is, you could become the rich guy. And because people think like, oh, the rich are greedy, they're this and that, they think whatever. Most of them are like the most generous people I've ever met, and just super, just awesome people, down to earth. They like helping people too. It's not like they're just trying to protect their money and they just like, push people down the hill. It's like, no, I'm trying to help, spread the knowledge and, so anyways, but also that could be true for somebody who is the opposite and they're a jerk when they're broke and they're gonna be a jerk when they're rich. They're gonna get all this money and then they're just gonna be a dude that has money now, but they're, a jerk with money. So anyways, what are your thoughts on that? You guys, because I feel like we all have like that person, like we all know someone like that where, you know, I don't know if I want to put anyone on blast. I'm not going to do it, but I think it's true, man. I really just think it magnifies you on either way, good or bad. If you're a good person, you're going to be an even better person with money because you're so generous and you want to donate to different causes and, help people pay for certain things they might not be able to afford. I just think it just, whatever it is that you are, that it kind of helps you and pushes you more that direction. So anyways, I'm off on my rant. What you guys think, man?
Yeah. I have a saying from Les Brown, and like we were saying, like the love of money is the root of all evil. He says the lack of money is the root of all evil.
Yeah.
And he goes into it and he explains it in a way of most places that are high criminal activity are very poor areas. Like you think of gated communities, super wealthy areas, you feel more safe to be there than you do in an area that's rural rundown.
Mm-hmm.
And he began to kind of talk about people will go out of their way to steal things that they don't have because they don't have the money to buy it. Now, I'm not saying that people with money are like way better than people without, or not saying people that don't have money are bad, but in the context of that, the world needs people with money because you can do great things with money. Like you can be a great person, but you can only do so much to move countries without it, right? Like prosperity centers, open up schools, help, kids that need water and food. You can't do that without money. So the world needs good people to be rich.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I agree. And on to that, to add to that point what you said, I just want to add that, dang it, dude, I'm going blank. When you're talking about, you're talking about not like obviously you being rich doesn't mean that you're, just a saint and you never do anything wrong. And obviously being not having money doesn't mean that you're just bad and you want to steal all the time. But I was watching a video on Dan Lok earlier. I know Morgan, I've talked to you about him earlier, but I don't know if you know who Dan Lok is, Dylan, but big entrepreneur. And he made a video talking about how the wealthy think. And he was just basically saying that the wealthy, like when he likes working with different people who are also wealthy and doing deals with them, not just because they have money, but because their mindset's different. And he's like, every time I've been cheated out of something or out of a bad deal or someone kind of doing me dirty, it was someone who didn't have the money and they were trying to cheat me out and be like, make a quick buck on me and scam me. But when I do deals with other people who are wealthy, it's just they have a different mindset. They don't have to do that. Like they've already, it's just a clean deal most of the time. And so, anyways, not to go too far off, but I wanted to add to that. I think it's interesting too. So going back to the original question, why do we need to be rich though? Like you could just be okay, you could be living comfortably, but why do we have to be rich, right? Why, like, what do you guys think? Because I think, because honestly, this was interesting because I remember I was talking to Bejos one time, no, that's probably actually maybe a little over a year now ago, and he was, we're kind of going over my goals, and I was telling him I wanted to live in a certain neighborhood, and I was like, I don't need to live there, but it's just one of my goals, and like he stopped me, he's like, whoa, like you do need to live there, and I was kind of shocked he said that. He's like, no, it's a need, like it's a need because you want it, but let me explain why, and he kind of broke it down as like, you need to live there because it's a goal of yours, so you need to hit it so you can build that confidence and prove to yourself you can do it, but also you can use that house for your business. You can host events there. You can have, holidays there. The family, you can have somewhere where the family can all come together. You can, he just kind of broke it down on why it's a need versus just being like, oh, it's just a want, kind of like downplaying it. But what do you guys think about that as far as like needing to be well off versus just, living average and, doing well, not struggling at all, but just like, why do you think it's so important for us to shoot for bigger?
Uh, I think it's so important because one of the things is like progression. Just think about progression, right? Like we're put on this earth for a reason, right? One of the reasons, excuse me, one of the reasons why is to be able to make it back to our Heavenly Father one day, right? If you're a believer in God or whatever it is that you believe in, we're here to be able to get tested, to progress, to learn how to live with a being like that. And so you think about that, it all kind of makes sense because we talk about associations, right? And we talk about like leveling up our mindset and being able to feel comfortable around people that are already at that level. How do you feel comfortable? The way you feel comfortable is because you have your mindset changes and it starts to become similar to theirs, right? The way they think, their processes, their work ethic, all those things, their self-identity. And then all of a sudden you feel like, man, I got a seat at the table. I feel like I belong. And so if you think about it on like a smaller scale, it's business, it's associations. But if you think about it like on a grand scale, the eternities, it's the same thing. We are learning to be able to have the identity, the characteristics, whatever it is, of God so that we can feel comfortable in his presence, right? Because imagine, and I'm going to get to my point because people might be thinking you're taking a really long route. But like, think about this. Let's just say like someone saw a spiritual being from the other realm, right? Like, how can you even think that you'd be able to be in their presence if you are doing a lot of bad stuff, you're a murderer, right? You're doing like things that are like seriously like against any type of like a law out there. You're not going to feel comfortable in the presence of someone that is very, very spiritual or holy. You're going to feel very uncomfortable. So if we think about this, why do we need to be, wealthy and rich and be able to? Because it's all about progression, right? And just like Bedro said, that if that's one of your goals, you need to hit it. Why? Because not only does that help you get the self-identity that you need to achieve, but it helps you to see that like, dude, I dug deep. I went way further than I thought that I could ever go. I pushed myself to the max. And if we're not here to always be progressing and always trying to be our best version of ourselves, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing here? Like, really, what are we doing on this earth if it's not to be able to progress and try to be the best version of ourselves? And think about so many people that are relying on you, just like Bedro said, just like you alluded to. If you don't come from a rich family needs to come from you. You need to be the one that changes your stars for your family. Why? So that your kids can have the best type of food, right? So your kids can have the best opportunities, so they can go to the best schools, so they can live in the best communities, right? Why would you want them to have to be stuck to what their circumstances allow them to have? Right? That's the difference. Like if you aren't wealthy and you don't have financial independence, your kids go to the school that your job dictates. Your kids eat the type of food of what your income dictates, right? When you're a broke college student, I know I've been there. You're living off of like freaking ramen and like the dollar menu at McDonald's, right? Like the crappiest food you can possibly put in your body. Why? Because your income is dictating what you're going to put in your body, because you don't have enough money to be able to buy the good stuff. So like I can go on and on, but I think it's so important for so many reasons. But the main reason it would be just progression in all areas of life to prove to yourself, to get yourself to the next level, and to be able to help your children and everyone else around you realize that, hey, if they can do it, I can do it too. And maybe along the process, you're going to help motivate someone to try to progress and be the best version of themselves as well. And then it's just a ripple effect.
I also think like when you say like why Leighton, my mind goes like why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, for
You know,
real.
like why not? Like the only people that say you don't need money are broke people, to be
Mhm.
straightforward, right? Because if you could choose whether you could be broke or wealthy, who's gonna say broke? It's just people that say, oh, these are the cards I've been dealt. This is the life that I gotta live in. So, and then they take that identity on, and then they make it seem like people that have money are different and like they're the weird ones. But like Morgan was saying, like to become wealthy, you have to do things that is out of your comfort zone. You have to grow. You know, there's so many things that are underlining that. It's not just, oh, you're just a rich person.
Mhm.
But then along with that, it's like, think about all the good you can do with that money. Like, yes, I get it. Someone's going to be watching this and say, oh, what about so and so that didn't have any money that was like, you know, super spiritual? Yeah, I get it. There's like a few of those stories. That's great. But you, to be able to build prosperity centers and help countries, and you have to have money.
Exactly.
Like, it's just, I don't know what else to tell you.
It's a fact. I'm sorry, but it's a fact. I'm just kidding. No, but dude, it is. It's like how are you gonna like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say you're going into, I don't know, Olive Garden or something, and there's a homeless person outside. You can't. This is gonna sound so douchey, but you can't wish a freaking bowl of pasta in their hands. Like, you have to pay for it and then give it to them. Like, you can't just like, you know, I'm trying to be careful with my words, but you need money to be able to do some of these things. It just is what it is. It costs money to eat. It costs money to buy, like costs money to sleep too, because you got to buy the bed that you're laying on, and you got to have the air conditioning at a certain temperature so you can sleep well, right? You got to buy your car, pay for gas, all this. Everything costs money. So it just really to be able to live, you have to have money, right? I'm not saying you have to. Well, in this case, we are saying like you should be wealthy or shoot for that. But really it's just you should always be striving for better. That's the main thing. So if someone, let's use our kids for example. So both of you guys, or dad's coming up to you and asking you a question, or Dylan, you are sorry, Onyx is asking you a question, and like you guys, let's say they're probably like 6 or 7 at this time, so it's going to be in a few years, right? um you guys will obviously probably live in different areas at that time. And so like, okay, well, we live in, this house, but my friends at school live in, I don't know, I went to go play at their house one time and it's not the same and whatever. So you're trying to have to explain to them, why it is that you did, or I don't know how to explain that, but like basically what would you tell them if they wanted to ask, why do we have this and they don't? Obvious answer is like, I worked hard and I have it. But it's like, okay, well, why not just have, something simple like what they have? What would you guys say to that?
Because that was in my goals and dreams.
Simple, right?
Yeah, like if you want to, like some people they want a smaller home, big yard. Some people, I know there's people that are extremely wealthy. They live very humble lives. And they're happy with that. So it doesn't matter. I think what matters is are you living the life that you dreamed of?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So if Onyx is like, oh my gosh, we have this really big home and all this stuff, but those people don't. As long as they're happy, and that's the main thing. Like if they planned that,
Yeah.
because if they didn't, then they just accepted the story and they didn't change it. Right. So I'll tell him, we have this because this is what I dreamed to have and this is what I worked for. They have that because that might have been what they dreamed to have. That's what they worked for. Doesn't make us any better or worse. That's just, we planned this route, they planned that route.
Exactly.
That's what I'd probably
I
tell
would
him.
say- no, for sure. I was just gonna say, I like what you said, was just really, and that was the point I was trying to make was how do we make it a teachable example for our kids when we get older? Because we're obviously striving for a certain level of success or what we deem as a success. But that doesn't mean we're better than anybody or that we, it's just personal goals, right? But then how do we explain it to them in the sense where they understand that that doesn't mean that you're better than anyone. It's just that this is what we're striving for. We want to work hard. It's like it's all about the chase. It's like, just the road less traveled, like all this stuff like that we're learning ourselves, and we're telling ourselves, we're feeding our own minds, that we're trying to teach them, but also not to be spoiled. Because I tell Betsy all the time, that's my number one, like, not fear, but I'm just like, dude, I will not have a brat. I will not let it happen. Like, I can't have her be spoiled and be like just kicking her feet up. Like, no. And I can say that because I was an only child and I was spoiled. But I think the difference was I wasn't a brat. I think there's a difference in being spoiled, but being a brat about it and acting like you deserve that and expecting it. That was the difference. My mom did whatever she was doing. She did a good job and a lot, not letting me feel like entitled. But I think that's the tricky part in parenting, obviously. So, Morgan, did you have something you want to add? My bad.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. You guys are making really, really good points. I wanted to add something, but before I do, again, I'm sure someone's thinking like, oh, but money doesn't bring happiness and all those things, right? Okay, I get it. But I think that's like what we're trying to say is all of those things aside. Of course, you don't want to, on your journey, you don't want to dedicate everything to becoming rich. And in the meanwhile, losing your family, getting divorced 3 times, your kids never want to talk to you. Of course, that's a given, right? But so many people say like, they don't know how, they basically in their mind say like, you can't have everything, but it's not true. You can. You can have everything. Just that the people that have gotten to a certain level, they have allowed things to fall off on the wayside, and that was their own fault, right? Like, you can be successful, you can be rich, you can have an amazing life with your spouse and your children. You can be super spiritual and, religious if that's what you want to be. You can have it all. You can be super fit, have a, like, whatever. You can have it all. So I don't want anyone hearing this and being like, oh, well, they're basically just saying just get rich and leave everything by the wayside. No, you can have it all. That's just a given. We're not bringing that up because that's not the topic.
Right.
That is a given. I will not become rich and sacrifice my family for doing so, right? But my wife and I have the same goals. We're on the same page. So we're both wanting the same thing. Anyways, I just wanted to add that in. But going back to what you guys were saying, so Jamie, for those of you watching, is a huge mentor of Leighton, Dylan, and I. Her and her husband are super wealthy. Super
Yeah, I was
wealthy.
gonna say super
And,
wealthy.
yeah, like very, very wealthy. And they have a very nice home, right? It's like 8 acres in California. So you already know when you hear 8 acres in California, you're like, holy crap. And it's in a very nice city where houses are ready by itself. Not even an acre are super expensive. So anyways, they've done very well for themselves. One of the things that stuck out to me the other day, Dylan and I were around her and we were talking to her about her system that she has set up for her children. And I remember her training on this one time. And I was like, man, this is such a cool system that she has for her children, for them to be able to make money. She has certain chores, but she has like this super like cool way of doing it, where they have to earn it, right? And it's not just a given for doing the chore. So we were kind of talking about that, and I was like, it always stuck out to me, and that was something that I want to do with my children. And she made a cool point where I was like, dang, and this is key. And I think this goes back to what you were saying, Leighton, with you can still have, you can still be wealthy, you can still have a big house, whatever you want, but it doesn't mean just because you have that your kids are going to be spoiled and bratty. They can still learn correct principles and morals. So what she said was, all my kids have chores, but they don't get paid to do the chores. That's normal. Like, you have to pull your weight in this home. I'm not just going to let you lounge and kick it because mom and dad worked their butt off and provided this amazing life for you. The chores are a given. You're going to do them whether you get paid or not, right? Because you live in this house and you're going to make sure that this house is also clean and that you participate in keeping this house the way it needs to be. But you said when they get paid is if they do it without me having to remind them.
Mhm.
And I think that's key for anyone that's listening, because again, very wealthy, they probably could pay a 50 different maids and nannies and butlers to be able to just come in and do everything for them. But they have their kids do it. And not only do they have their kids do it, they don't pay them unless they do it on their own without having to be reminded. And so I think that's so important. And those are like true, like good principles that you're teaching your kids, even though they're wealthy, to help them understand that even if it is a chore, you have to work for it. You have to have a good attitude about it. You have to be proactive. All these little nuggets that they're just giving their children throughout their way while they're teaching them while they're living in normal scenarios, to help them understand that, man, mom and dad got to where they were because of all of these things, all of the disciplines that they're teaching us. And they're doing it and instilling it into their children and not just making them spoiled brats because they're wealthy.
Facts, dude. Facts. That's a really good idea. I'm gonna steal that for sure. That's a good one, because you have to remind. I mean, they might be whipped into shape now. Like when you tell them once, they automatically know I'm trying to get paid. Like, I'm gonna do it. But I know that was probably a grind in the beginning, like for them. Like they're like, wait, what? I don't get paid. Like I have to tell you again. Like, cause I'd be like, dang man, like you only told me one time. Like you didn't even get the whole sentence out. I got up and I'm like, nah, I know. I'm sure they have their little like legal systems. They're trying to like figure it out. Like, nah, that's not fair. But
I would just remind Onyx every single day so I never have to pay him.
yeah, exactly.
Just
Exactly, dude. That's why when you tell him that first time, he's like, I'm up, dude. It's over. But man, this is a really, really good episode. I like this, man. Good topic. Real quick, I just gotta add this in before we finish. When you said money doesn't buy happiness, I'm not gonna say it does, but I am gonna say that if you're doing laundry and you're folding your pants, you're taking your pants out of the dryer, whatever, and then you like, you always double check before you have to make sure you don't have anything in your pockets, and you take a 20 out of your pocket you forgot you had, don't lie to me and say you don't get stoked. Don't sit there and tell me you're like, oh snap, a 20, even $1, bro. That's money you didn't realize you had. Come on, bro. You get happy. Anyways, so I just leave it at that. But
Totally.
anyways, good stuff, fellas.
So
good
funny.
stuff. Sick. All right, y'all. Well,
Nice.
another one down. Stow this one up, man. And I'll see you guys next week.